Yeah, I'm with you. I hated it. I wanted him. I sat here in our studio yesterday saying I want him to get 4 series. I mean, he got 1, and even the 1 series was what, 1 first down, then they had the screen pass, then the swing pass. So we really didn't get much. Only 1 real downfield throw, and that was the throw to Rager on the curl route, which even that was, what, a 10, 12-yard throw. So we didn't really see a lot of him. And you and I talked extensively yesterday. Could we see those glimpses where, hey, they're onto something here with this guy? And I think we did see some good things. Like in the limited time he was in there, we saw good things. I thought it was good decision-making, pretty good accuracy overall. That throw to Rager could have been a little bit better. But I wanted to see him for a 2nd series and a 3rd series. And if he had come in for a 4th series, maybe to begin the second half. Instead, we got a lot of Zappe. I think it was 7 series worth of Bailey Zappe, then a lot of Joe Milton in the second half. And I also thought Jacoby Brissett, I would have liked a 2nd series out of him. Just first year in this with Van Pelt for a full year. I know they've worked together before, but first year as the starter with Van Pelt as the coordinator, kind of full-time working together. First year back in New England as the starter, new group of guys around him. I would have liked to have seen 2 from Jacoby. I would have liked to have seen 4 from Maye. I think it's a clue how they feel about the joint practices coming up, as well as...
You mean the joint practice?
That's true.
There's only one.
Like, when I look at, okay, Maye played 1 series, my mind just kept, why is he only playing 1 series? Why? And there's really only one theory, Mego, I can come up with why he didn't play. And it's got 2 parts. Part number 1, they have no trust in the second unit offensive line. Absolutely. And Gerard Mayo even alluded to this in his post-game press conference. He said, that guy needs to protect it. And then, of course, he caught himself, and he's like, well, we got to protect the other guys too, but that guy needs to be protected. So they have no trust. And if you noticed, when they went with their second unit offensive line, they kept Vidarian Lowe at left tackle. So they don't even have confidence they have a second left tackle, let alone a full second offensive line. So I think that was the biggest reason. And I think the other reason, and I think some people will believe this and some won't, it tells me they're satisfied with where he is in his development, whether we like it or not. Because I think if they were really unsatisfied, they would have kept that first unit O-line in for another series, and they would have kept him out there for another series. So I think the biggest part was the O-line, but the next biggest part of this, they like where he's at right now.
How do you get that from what you saw last night?
Because, so first of all, I thought, when I say they like it, I think they've seen him every day in practice.
Right.
They like what they've seen. For me, I mean, for what I've seen in practice, I've seen some progress there. And last night, I mean, look, there wasn't a lot there. I thought, what are the 2 most important things for a quarterback? Accuracy, decision-making. I thought he made good decisions across the board.
I would disagree with those 2, by the way, but please continue.
So accuracy and decision-making. I thought decision-making was good across the board. Like the decision to throw to Rager was the right decision. That swing pass on the 3rd down was the right decision. Accuracy, the Rager pass was a little too high, but in the rain, I mean, maybe Rager could have gone up and got that. Still would have liked a better throw. His accuracy on the other, albeit short throws, I thought was fine. So at least you saw that. He operated the offense like he knew what he was doing, because we've talked a lot about, hey, can this guy take an under center snap? Does he know how to get in and out of the huddle? He never did this at UNC. He did do all those things, albeit in limited action, but he at least did those things. So that's where I look at it and I say, well, they only wanted to play him 1 series. That first unit offensive line only played the 2 series, so they must feel okay with where he's at.
Yeah, I personally don't really get that point. The first point I agree with very much. They clearly, and this is no surprise, they clearly have an issue with the depth at offensive line. They've had an issue with who's going to be the starters on the offensive line for a couple seasons now, a couple training camps at least. So I'm not surprised by that. I was surprised that they were limiting the play of the top players on the offensive line as they're slated today so much that they couldn't give Jacoby Brissett and Drake Maye a little bit more playing time, that you didn't get that much of the full experience of the actual New England Patriots as we expect them to be a month from now. Now, part of that might have been because the Carolina Panthers were sitting over 30 players. Yeah. And it might be that they looked at the other side and they said, what do we really have to gain here? But I really think they had so much to gain by playing Drake Maye. And I kind of disagree with where you're saying that they're satisfied with his development. I actually think the biggest indicator of all of this is how incredibly precious they're acting with Drake Maye and what a slow roll they're putting him on. I mean, to me, it screams Packers way. It screams Jordan Love sitting for years. And I'm not saying that that's what they're going to do with Drake Maye this year. But one thing I can definitively say is there is a very, very slim chance that he's going to be playing in week 1 of this season. And I do think something that matters is the way that it looks to fans last night. So already you get out there because it's a preseason game, because you have expectations of a bad team. The weather sucks. I've never seen that place that empty. Like it's just from the broadcast. I wasn't there, but from the broadcast, the stands were just bare minimum of fans there. It was rough.
Full at best.
Again, it's an exhibition and it's crappy and it's Thursday night. There's plenty of reasons for it. But there are people in this town who are saying that there are reports indicating that Drake Maye is an F in camp. That's what people in this town are saying. And I don't think that that's accurate from the reports that I'm reading. But when you only put him out there for one series behind the starting line, and it looks fine, like you said, like he looked fine. He looked comfortable enough. He was basically walking and chewing gum at the same time, but he looked fine. You're kind of adding fuel to that fire. Like, whether you think that matters or not, I'm not sure it's the best look for them. And on top of that, the way more important thing is you only have one joint practice coming up with the Eagles next week. And then you have 2 more preseason games. And it just indicates to me they're really not prioritizing the idea of getting Drake Maye into a starting position early in the season. Like, at this point, I'm shocked if you see him in September. And so I don't know how you feel about that. To me, it's just a little bit disappointing because I don't want to see him after week 13. I like to see him a little bit earlier than that. I like to think that he's on some kind of schedule where they're challenging him and they're continuing to stack challenges and he's meeting them and going to the next level. And what I saw last night is just they're being precious with him. They're trying to protect him. And I'm simultaneously worried that that's sending the wrong message out there that, like, wow, what a disaster. And I don't think he is.